My question is this. I'm wanting to know when to take action, if to take action.
After you get a premonition. Well, we're not kidding. In other words,
my question is
when
this.
You have a premonition of something wanted,
I'm
that
wanting
means
to know.
you're lined right up with it. In other words, that the premonition was that you experienced here or earlier was significant enough that it got your attention, didn't it? And it was exhilarating when the manifestation matched it. But are you following this? This is really an important thing. When you've been living life and you've been building this vortex, so what you want is already amassed. All of the cooperative components are already assembled. So the feeling of inspiration, that feeling of being ready to act about something, that's the feeling that comes when you're close enough to the vortex that the vortex takes you in. Let's be clear about this. Whether it's a premonition or a feeling of inspiration, it is from that vantage point that we would act, and only from that vantage point that we would act. In other words, we would offer all of our action. You talk about getting your ducks in a row. We talk about getting your energy lined up. When you've been hovering on the edge of your vortex, or it's taking you in enough that you're vibrationally up to speed, that's when those inspirational thoughts begin to flow to you. And when those inspirational thoughts begin to flow, that's when to take action. Esther has been noticing something recently because she and Jerry are together all of the time. And his mind is very fast. He's thinking about a lot of things, and they have so many projects that are in the work, building projects and book projects and recording projects and all kinds of scheduling projects, all kinds of wonderful things that are manifesting and calling for action. And what she's begun to notice is that when one or the other of them will have an idea, when Jerry will say, oh, we need to remember to call so-and-so about such and such, Esther is taken to snatching the phone up and making the call right then, if she can, because she knows that that is an inspired thought that has come to him. In other words, when it comes, that's because everything's lined up. The time is now. When that thought comes, now is the time to act on it. Don't write it on a list and then type it into your computer and then sort it by category and then prioritize it by A, B, C, D. The moment will pass. In other words, you have this vortex that is queuing you up. And when you feel, when just the idea that the thought came, in other words, you like that, don't you? Now stay with us. This is really an important thing. Do you get the idea of this vortex? Must be annoying. That invisible sphere that Abraham keeps pointing at the floor, this vortex of creation, and they call that reality. They call that reality. Ignore all of this walls and ceilings and lights and manifestation, but this is the reality. But it is. It really, really is. This is this vibrational reality, this vibrational gathering where all cooperative components have been gathered. And we tease our physical friends by saying you're often the only uncooperative component to your own hopes and dreams, because in your pessimism or in your facing reality, you hold yourself as a vibrational difference to what you're asking for. But when an idea occurs to you, you know that feeling, I should do something or I want to do something? That means for sure the vortex took you in. That's why you rendezvoused with the idea. And when that occurs to you, act on it. And until then, let your dominant intention be just to get into the vortex.
It seems like I have a lot of things that come up and I get thrown out of the vortex. So what I'm wanting is that inspiration to come in. And
but what you're saying, hear the foolishness of what you said.
Okay.
And we really like it when we get really clear foolishness because it makes a big point. What you said is, or what we said was, the clarity's in the vortex. And you're saying, give me the clarity so I can get in the vortex. Mm-hmm. And we say, go in the vortex where the clarity is. And you say, no, give me the clarity and then I'll go in the vortex. vortex. And we say, well, the clarity's in the vortex. You got to figure out how to get in there. And you say, that's my point. That's my point. Clarity's in there. I want it. I'm out here without it. Can't you bring a little of it out here so I can get in? And we say, oh, there's hopefulness outside the vortex. In other words, hope is lingering on the edge. So if you linger more hopefully, in other words, if you just try to be more optimistic. But here's the thing. Aren't there dozens, if not hundreds, of subjects that you already feel good about? Couldn't you use any of those as your reason to be in the vortex? In other words, you don't have to, the vortex doesn't say, wrestle your problem to the ground, and when it's proper, we'll allow you to drag it into the vortex. That's not how it works at all. The vortex is over there spinning with everything that you have become and everything that you want and all cooperative components gathered. And you just want to stop beating the drum of what's not in the vortex. And when you stop beating the drum of what's not in the vortex will take you in. Really, it's like that. You don't have to try to get into the vortex. You just have to stop doing the stuff you're doing that keeps you out. And the stuff that you're doing that keeps you out is complaining, worrying, watching CNN. The stuff that keeps you out is anything that you're doing when you feel negative emotion. And so meditation is a way in, basking is a way in, playing a foolish game. Esther's been playing a foolish game of ABC, where she looks for an in the vortex word that starts with every letter. Appreciation, basking, clarity, delicious, ease, flow, happy. In other words, and the game is quite interesting, actually, because some of the letters are hard. And you just can't focus on something like that and focus upon anything that holds you out of the vortex at the same time. So in you go, and a whiff of inspiration hits you. And then if you're wise enough to know that inspiration means you are now a cooperative component, act on the inspiration that you felt. Now you're in the game, you see. Think about it. You lingered on the edge of the vortex. You didn't mean to be out, but life sucks. So you're out. So you meditate or you play the silly ABC game or whatever, or you visit with someone who's a little more optimistic, or any number of things can bring you to the brink of the vortex, which is hopeful. And then you manage to be there in the absence of resistance just enough that the vortex takes you in. So now the vortex takes you in and you feel an impulse to do something like raise your hand. You feel an impulse to do something like make a phone call or write something down or draw something. You feel an impulse, you feel an impulse to Google something or to call someone. So you feel the impulse and you recognize it because it's soon after this conversation where we've talked about inspiration and inspired action. So you follow through with action on that inspiration. And because it was inspiration, and it was, we're not kidding you, that phone call is a productive motion forward phone call. And you say, yes. Now you're not just hoping, now you're believing for a moment. Now, we didn't say the vortex will take you in and make a believer out of you. The vortex will take a hoper in and make a hoper a stronger hoper. The vortex will take a hoper in and make a hoper a stronger hoper until the hoper is believing in the vortex, if not believing in himself, believing in the law of attraction, if not believing in himself, believing that some things go well, if not believing that all things go well, believing that things are getting better, if not believing everything will get better. You see what we're getting at? Believing, hoping, believing, hoping, believing, hoping. But you follow enough of those impulses, you get hopeful often enough and follow enough of those impulses so that you're in the vortex more. Before you know it, enough things are moving in your direction that you'll say, hey, I'm back in the groove. I'm in the zone. I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. I should buy a lottery ticket. Things are going really well. When you get that impulse, buy a lottery ticket. When you get that impulse, in other words, when the impulse comes to change lanes. Esther is driving. She can feel something going on, so she slows way down. The monster bus is big. In fact, there are a lot of stoplights in a lot of cities that are really tricky. They've got cameras on them and really short yellow lights. got really, really short yellow lights. It's not easy to bring that bus down to a stop position when they're moving through town. And so there are quite a few photographs being sent to the office of Esther making her way through these stoplights. Jerry say, well, there's another.
All right, guys, we're going to start here in a couple of minutes. Send out the link. Make sure you get your friends, your family, anyone that you think could benefit from this on this call. We're going to start here in a couple of minutes. Keep listening to Abraham. I'm so grateful for you guys. Let's go.
There's another one. There's another one. So the vortex is giving you these impulses. And when you follow through with an impulse, what begins to happen is you feel the momentum of it. In other words, the momentum of being in the vortex, the momentum of things working for you causes you to move on subject after subject from hope to belief to expectation, which means you've trained your point of attraction into a different place. And when you train your point of attraction into a different place, you rendezvous, hear this, you rendezvous with the cooperative components that are cooperative components of what you want, instead of the cooperative components that are the cooperative components with what you don't want. It really is that simple. If you feel annoyed a lot, you are a vibrational match. You are a cooperative component to things you don't want.
So that means you really don't take action unless you're in the vortex.
We wouldn't take action unless we felt inspired. We would not motivate ourselves to action. And we would call motivation doing it because I think I should. We would call inspiration doing it because it feels like something I want to do. When you're in the vortex, it always feels like it. And it's interesting because you live with each other, and a lot of mothers feel inspired to tell their kids to do stuff. In other words, when you feel the inspiration for a clean house and then you try to motivate somebody to help you, it doesn't work out very well. And so then you get better at your motivation tactics, and then you try to use them on yourself. You try to pump yourself up. And we just want you to know that there's this huge energy that when you work in concert with it, then life is blissful. Esther's favorite alphabet words are ease and flow, ease and flow, ease and flow. When she found those words, ease and flow, she usually spends 2 minutes on ease and flow. Ease and flow, ABCD, ease and flow, ease and flow, ease and flow. It's just such a delicious contemplation, the ease and flow, because the engine is the vortex. The engine is the law of attraction. The engine is the larger source energy part of her. It's already done. It's present tense, ease and flow. There's nothing that I have to do, but there's plenty.
All right. Hold on a second. Let me stop sharing. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me let you see me. Hey guys, what's going on? All right, pin myself. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another week of Woke Wednesday. Super excited for you guys to be here tonight for another week of Woke Wednesday. I'm super grateful for each and every single one of you for coming here and being here and listening to me every single week. You guys are the reason why I keep going. Super happy and grateful for every single one of you. Why don't we start the call as usual with what we are grateful for, right? So drop in the chat, drop on Zoom, whether you're on Zoom, YouTube, on IG, what are you grateful for? I am so happy and grateful now that I am healthy, I am wealthy. I'm so happy and grateful for my family, for, God, source, whatever you want to call it. I'm so happy and grateful for every opportunity that comes my way every single day. I'm so happy and grateful for abundance, prosperity, my sister, my brothers, my niece, every single person in my life. Super happy and grateful for this earth, for my next breath, every breath, because we take it for granted, right? You don't know if you're going to wake up in the morning. So every single day that you wake up is a reason to be grateful, right? So what are you guys grateful for? Let me read some from the chat. Grateful for another day towards my purpose. I love that. I love that so much. Grateful for God. Let's go Yankees. Thomas, I'm done with you. Get off my live. Or don't. You should probably hear this. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being on another week with me. It's just a blessing every single time that I'm able to utilize this platform to have Source sort of speak through me and give you guys a message, whatever that message may be, especially listening to Abraham every single week. You guys know I love to start my calls with that because Abraham is the GOAT. Thank you so much, Source, for allowing Esther to channel Abraham through you and give us the, the good stuff that we don't know, but is yet to come, right? So tonight, I really want to talk about something that we've spoken about before. And I speak about a lot of the same things repetitively because you guys know repetition is key to unlocking better results, right? So tonight I want to talk about the two parts of the mind, which we talk about a lot, but not just the two parts of the mind, but our mental faculties. I haven't done a training on this in a while, so I'm super, super excited to train you guys on the mental faculties. So for those of you who don't know what the mental faculties are, make sure you tune in, stay, disciplined and vigilant, and make sure you pay attention, get a notepad out so that you can really, really look back on this. And, most of the time you guys watch a live or, you listen to a seminar and you don't remember everything that you hear. So you have to make sure that you take notes so you can go back. So basically, mental faculties are our mental muscles, right? Most of us are really familiar with our sensory factors. What are our sensory factors? It's how we associate ourselves and interact with the outside world. So most of us, almost all of us, are so used to living from the outside in. Most of our information that we utilize comes from outsourcing, right? And what I mean by that is you utilize your sense of smell, taste, hearing, touch, your senses, your sensory factors. This is how you interact with the world. And most people only understand their ability to interact with the outside world through the sensory factors, right? But little did you know, we have other factors. We have spiritual senses, I guess you could say. That's what I kind of like to call them, our spiritual senses. Are non-physical factors, because the sensory factors are physical factors. We can physically touch, we can physically smell, physically see, physically hear. But our spiritual factors, our mental muscles, are things that we can't physically touch, see, smell, or taste, right? And these are the way we communicate with our inner self and with a higher power. So I'm really excited to give you guys this training tonight. I hope you guys enjoy it. We have done trainings like this before, but it's been a while. So we have a few. So the first mental muscle that I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight is memory, right? So your memory is a piece of your mind. Let me just turn off that so we're not bleeping every second. So our memory is a piece of our mind that we can utilize as a mental factor, a mental muscle. It's something you can utilize to grow spiritually, not physically, right? So a lot of the time, and I even catch myself saying this a lot because I feel a lot of the time like, oh, I don't have the best memory. But it's not that you don't have the best memory. It's just that it's a weak memory, right? So mental muscle. You can go to the gym and grow your physical muscles, but how do you grow your mental muscles? Repetition, studying. There's many, many different ways. So memory is a mental muscle. So if you feel like you have a bad memory, you can strengthen that memory. It's just weak. It's not bad. There's no such thing as a bad memory, only a weak memory. And our memory is developed through association, names, numbers. So when you are able to, like most people say, like, I only would remember by face, not by name, right? That's association. That's association. Your memory can be strengthened, and our memory is something that's super, super important when it comes to growth in anything that we do, because we want to be able to stay, what's the word I'm looking for? As you guys know, and I shouldn't even say this, I'm bad with this. No, I'm not bad with this. I'm a little bit weak with this, but it's okay. You want to be able to grow your network, your net worth, and that is associated with memory. When you're doing business, especially, you don't want to like meet somebody that you've met before and be like, I don't know who you are or what you're, like how we know each other. So you have to strengthen that muscle. Okay. Then we have another one, and I am looking at notes, guys. So it's okay. We all have to reflect a little bit, and that's totally fine. So reason is another mental muscle. What's up, Brandon? What's up, everybody on IG Live? Thank you guys for tuning in. Super, super happy and grateful for every single person who tunes in. Love it. But another mental muscle we have is reason. So as humans, our reasoning factor gives us the ability to think. It gives us the ability to form thoughts, right? You're able to pull energy into your consciousness, right? That might be like go a little bit over your heads, but it gives you the ability to create thoughts. So we have our reasoning factor, the ability to, let me just look to see how I can kind of break this down a little bit better for you guys. So like, think about it like this. Most people, if they thought before they spoke, they wouldn't say the things that they say. How many times have you thought to yourself after you had maybe an argument, for instance, and you're like, oh, I should have thought before I said that because it's affecting me in this way, or it's affecting the relationship in this way. Your reasoning factor, if you build up that muscle, it'll give you the ability to stop yourself before you just react. You want to respond instead of react. And our reasoning factor gives us the ability to think. We're some of the only beings on this planet that have reasoning factor, right? So it's another mental muscle that you really, really want to focus on, to strengthen along with your memory, to give you the ability to not react to every situation, but you want to be able to respond efficiently, proficiently, responsibly, and respectively. Yeah, it's practiced in Buddhism and Taoism for sure. A lot of different more spiritually focused religions do speak and practice this mindfulness, and that's kind of what reasoning is, like mindfulness of what it is that you're saying and doing, like thinking before acting, right? Because again, if most people thought before they spoke, they wouldn't speak at all, right? They wouldn't say the things that they say. How many times have you said like, oh, I wish I never said that? Because you're reacting upon emotion. And we want to kind of shy away from an immediate reaction when we're provoked with emotion, and sit back and kind of be able to just think like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? Is there a better way to respond to this situation? right? So we went over memory so far and reason. The next one is perception. So perception is your view. It's your point of view on things. Everyone has their own perception, right? We're programmed when you're born, you're programmed to think, feel, respond, react, like, dislike certain things, types of people, all facets of life. We're programmed to feel a certain way or think a certain way. Yes, from birth, but also from our sensory factors, our environment, the people who brought us up, our parents, grandparents, churches, temples, whatever your religion is, you're influenced by that outside source, your friend groups, right? All of these factors give you your sense of perception upon the world. But once you start to question, and that's the whole point of Woke Wednesday and, Abraham and a lot of other people who do podcasts and calls like this to focus on mindset, is to just get you to not go along with everything. Think for yourself, and not just simply think for yourself, but question things. Don't just believe everything you see or hear, sensory factors. We're not supposed to be living from the outside in. We're supposed to be living from the inside out. So forming your own perception is something that most people don't even realize that they're not doing. Most people believe they have their own perception, but in reality, your perception of the outside world or things that are going on is jaded by your upbringing and by what you've been taught in school, by your parents, all these different things. If your mom or dad are Democrats, typically you're going to be a Democrat, because what have you been brought up in your household believing and hearing and seeing all this time? That point of view. So without question, that becomes your point of view. But only until we begin to question what's going on in the outside world is when we begin to have a paradigm shift, a quantum leap, if you will, and allows you to have your own perception on the world. Like there's an exercise you can do, and it's interesting because every single person has such a different perception on the world and on just anything. There's so many ways of looking at things, right? I don't even want to do the exercise with you right now. We'll do the exercise later on in the call because I want to get to every single one, but it's really, really cool. We've done it before on other calls. You can look back, but we'll definitely do it again at the end of this call. So now we've done memory, reason, and perception. Now let's go to willpower. We kind of discussed this last week. Willpower, it seems like something that you talk about or know about or feel like you might utilize every single day. And for most people, I hope that you are utilizing your willpower. But willpower is the ability to be disciplined, to not be affected by outside factors. So when you have your mind set on something, you're not being influenced by those outside factors, by the sensory factors, by your environment, by other people, by your churches, by your educators, that you have the ability to sit down, focus, and again, not be influenced by those outside factors. It allows you to really hone in on one thing and do what has to be done and not get distracted, right? Willpower is the ability to not get distracted by outside factors. An exercise you can do that is a little bit quicker that I can tell you about than the other one is, if you want to test your willpower, light a candle. And it's so cool. We'll do it one day on a call. Light a candle and just look at the candle, right? Every time your mind starts to wander away from you focusing on that flame and just only focusing on that flame, every time you start to get an idea pop into your head, bring yourself back to the flame. Catch yourself, bring yourself back to the flame, and time yourself. And do this often, and you'll be able to test how disciplined you can be. This is just a little test. It's not like, creating a huge schedule and seeing like, oh, can I complete this schedule by these time periods throughout this whole week in one, that's a lot sometimes to begin testing your willpower. So utilizing that little trick, like lighting a candle and staring at the flame, and every time you get a thought pop into your head that is distracting from what you're trying to focus on, it's like meditating, right? Bring yourself back to the flame. Try practicing meditating. Sit with yourself. Try 5 minutes. Try 5 minutes throughout the day. Just go into a quiet room or a park with your AirPods in, or like somewhere where you can be totally away from distraction. Turn your phone off, whatever it may be, and just give yourself 5 minutes. Even if you can't start with 5 minutes, start with 2 minutes. If you could even start with 2 minutes and really hone in on your ability to just stick with your solidity in your thought and not get influenced by outside factors, every time you do it, try to do it for a little bit longer. And I'm promising you that it's going to get easier and easier and easier. I used to not be able to even meditate for 10 minutes. And I've been meditating for the past 6 years. I work privately with a shaman. Like, I really, really do this. And it was really, really tough for me at first to hone in on my willpower, because I would have 10 bajillion kabillion thoughts going through my head at one time. And I would go into the shaman and we would sit down to do meditation. And the meditation was a 45-minute to an hour meditation. And I was like, I don't even know if I can do this. Like 45 minutes to an hour without looking at my phone, without speaking to somebody, with just, sitting there without having an outside thought come into my mind. That is tough. And it's unexpected. You're not expected to go into your first meditation and be like, okay, I'm a Buddha now. I'm able to just do this, no problem. Like, no, it comes with discipline. So you have to try in increments to get to where you want to go. So I would come out of those meditations and I would be like, Al, that's his name, Al. Any of you guys who have been to New York and have met up with me, I've brought you there. So like, shout out to everybody who's come to the shaman with me. It's amazing. But yeah, like, I would come out of those meditations and be like, Al, I had 10,000 thoughts coming into my head. I couldn't even focus. I was peeking my eye open like every few minutes. Like, when is this going to be over? It feels like forever. And he'd be like, it's normal, because you're strengthening your willpower to be with yourself. Most of us are so uncomfortable just sitting with ourselves and being with ourselves that when we go any time period just alone in our thoughts, it will drive you nuts. So I'm telling you, just practice in small, small increments your willpower, like those 2 minutes, then go to 5 minutes. Then it'll be easier to go to 10 minutes. Like on Woke Wednesdays, we do 10-minute meditations, and I give it up for you guys. For those of you who haven't really meditated that much before, or like sat with yourself and just been present in the moment, 10 minutes is a long time when you're not used to that. So I give it up to you guys, but practice this in your own ways. You can even Google like ways to practice discipline and willpower, and you'll find some stuff on there. So the next one, so now we've gone through memory, we've gone through reason, we've gone through perception, and we've gone through willpower. The next one I want to go to is one of my favorite ones, imagination. So imagination. Most of us, when we think of imagination, it's like, oh, like that's for kids, or like if you're, most of us are told like, get your head out of the clouds, right? When you're a kid, like get your head out of the clouds and focus and like have a plan and and do this and do that and do that. Stop imagining. Imagination is for kids. Just like when you're a kid, some people have imaginary friends, right? But that is why the world is so fucked up. And excuse my language, but like you guys know how I talk, I just speak real and I will say whatever I want. So excuse my language. If you don't like it, you can get off, but that's just how I talk. Imagination is the key to getting whatever it is that you want in your life. If you can visually in your mind's eye see what it is that you want, you can physically hold it in your hand. Now, it's not just like visualization, and we've talked about this before, like visualization isn't just going to get you what you want. Obviously, you need to take action, but when you are able to clearly picture and visualize what it is that you want, your subconscious mind does not understand the difference between real and fake. So if you can repetitiously, with willpower, imagine a life beyond your wildest dreams, like every single thing that you want in this world, right? In your imagination, in your mind's eye. If you repetitiously do that, eventually you're going to start to become that, because you're going to be able to take the action steps to become that person, because you'll start to question the things you're doing in your everyday life that aren't moving you towards what you see in that imagination. That's why it's so important to also have like a vision board, right? Like in my room, I have a cork board and I have like 10 different houses that I want all over the world. I have all different cars. I have pictures of families. I have pictures of destinations that I want to travel to, like every single thing you can think of. Because when you can visually look at these things constantly on a consistent basis every single day, it gets programmed from a conscious thought that you're thinking repetitiously. What do we always talk about? When you can think a conscious thought, it seeps into your subconscious mind, and our bodies are the vehicle for the representation of our thoughts. So if you can dream and you can imagine and close your eyes and literally see every single thing that you want, and you can do this for a few minutes out of your day, every single day, you will start to question the actions that you're taking on a day-to-day basis that may or may not be getting you to where you want to be in life. So imagination is like literally thinking turning into results, right? So now we've gone over memory, reason, perception, willpower, imagination, and the last one we have to go over is my last favorite, the intuitive factor. So how many people believe that they are intuitive? Typically women feel like they're a lot more intuitive than men, but there's a lot of male figures that I know that are super, super intuitive, but they take it kind of as like a female thing to be intuitive. Step into your power. We all have male and female attributes. And being intuitive, no matter what you are, is incredible. Yeah, like divinity. I like, thank you for hopping on. You have such amazing comments. Nick, I'm pretty sure that's your name. But yeah, intuitive factor. So Bob Proctor, the GOAT, rest in peace. He was one of my personal mentors. I wouldn't really be where I am in my journey, my spiritual journey, if I never found Bob Proctor. So shout out to Bob Proctor and Proctor Gallagher Institute, and everyone who works with Bob. Amazing, amazing mentor. If you don't know who Bob Proctor is, go YouTube him, search him. He has taught me almost probably like 70% of what I know when it comes to the subconscious mind and programming and reprogramming. And a lot of the stuff that I talk to you guys about on Woke Wednesdays are things that I've learned directly from Bob. So shout out to Bob. But intuitive factor. In my mentorship with Bob, I heard him say, and I don't know if it's his words exactly, I don't believe that they are, but he said, when you're praying, right? When you're praying for something, you're speaking to God, right? Or source, or whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever your higher power is to you. Doesn't matter what it's called. It's all the same thing. That's a call for another day. But when we utilize our intuitive factor, that's God speaking to us or source speaking to us. And that always stuck with me. Like, I literally love that so much because it's so true. It's like when you have, like, how many of you have had a gut feeling about something and you're just like, I feel so strongly about this. And then it turns out to be true, or it turns out to happen or be right. That is no coincidence. There are no coincidences in this life. You guys know how I feel about that. And you have to not take that with a grain of salt, right? Our intuitive factor is a mental faculty, a mental muscle, and it is something ingrained in us. But we're so jaded by our outside sensory factors and our environment that we're taught to cut all of these off. We're taught not to utilize those sensory factors to interact with the world. We're taught to cut them off. So start to be more present when you're thinking about or dealing with situations or feeling certain ways about things, because your intuitive factor is almost never wrong. Just like I said, how many of you have ever had a gut feeling about something where you're like, I know this is fucking happening, or like, I can just, or like if you have anxiety or whatever it is, you're just like, I have that feeling and I'm holding myself here because you know that gut feeling when you feel it just clenching. That is source speaking through you. It's almost like your inner self giving you a heads up, like, this probably isn't a great idea. You know, like maybe before you're about to do something that you shouldn't be doing, you get that little thought in your head that's like, this probably isn't the best idea. And then you have that other thought in your head like, well, that's probably not going to happen. But then you go through the motions, and 99% of the time, what ends up happening? You're like, I should have went with my gut. I should have played that lotto ticket. Those are the numbers I was going to pick. Right? It's super, super important to understand these mental faculties, because and I'm not saying we don't use our sensory factors, because we absolutely, absolutely do. And they are definitely super important. But understanding that you have more than those sensory factors, that you have those spiritual senses as well that you can utilize, kind of sets you apart from the rest. And I'm hoping that this training tonight woke you guys up a little bit to just a different way of thinking, questioning your reality, questioning why it is the way that you do the things you do, or the way you interact with certain people, or, interact with the world in general, why it is that you have the results that you have or don't have the results that you want. So the mental faculties are just like everything. And I learned all of this from Bob Proctor. So again, shout out to Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher and Proctor Gallagher Institute, Taylor Hierro and Michael Weaver, DeAndre Saxton, so many of these people who have given me the ability to teach this information, because I learned it from them, and I'm super happy and grateful that I was able to come into contact with them, because I wouldn't be where I am today and I wouldn't be able to share this information with you guys. But without further ado, if you guys want to participate with me in a meditation, I would love that. Let's practice our discipline and our willpower. I'm super happy and grateful and excited to do this with you guys tonight. And as you guys know, I just go on YouTube. I used to do them by myself. Like, I would just do the meditations for you guys, but I'm not going to do that tonight. Maybe next week we'll do that. I'll run the meditation myself. I haven't done it in a while and I probably should. All right, so let's see what source gives us. All right, let's try this one. So make sure you guys get in a comfortable seated position. Turn the lights off if you have to. If you're driving, please don't do this while you drive. I don't want to be responsible for any accidents, but take some deep breaths in and out and just relax and listen to the guided meditation.
Nothing else matters except for this moment. Allow yourself to get comfortable. If you're in a chair, make sure your feet are planted firmly on the floor, legs uncrossed. Let your spine straighten and lengthen. As your arms rest gently in your lap, and your eyes softly close. Allow all of your awareness to enter in, becoming fully aware of your breath. Just noticing how it's entering and exiting. In this moment, not necessarily trying to control it or change it. Just letting yourself be the observer. Let yourself be curious. Noticing how it feels at the tip of your nose. Noticing what muscles are being engaged on every inhale and on every exhale. And taking a moment to become intentional now with your breath. Really letting your abdomen expand as you breathe in. And contract as you breathe out. Letting your breath be rich and full. Throughout the course of this meditation, if at any point you find your mind wandering, that's perfectly okay. Do not judge yourself for it. Instead, simply return to this beautifully rich and full breath. The wonderful thing about being connected to your breath is that by doing so, you are naturally more connected to this moment, right here and now. Your breath cannot be in the past, cannot be in the future. When you're focusing on your breath, you are focusing on now. And truly, that's all that matters. We cannot change the past. We cannot control the future. All we can do is choose to be present in this moment. This moment is our greatest gift. This moment is really all there is. Everything else is in your mind, in your memories or your imagination. But what's real, what matters, is this moment right now. As you let everything else fall away and you simply focus on your breath, the music, and the words you are hearing, you give yourself the gift of being here in this moment right now. Something very natural happens as you do this, and that is that you become more grateful for this moment. You relax into a sense of presence. You are here in this moment, and that's all that there is. That's all that matters. You stay present with these words, with your breath, and with the music. And you feel the power of this present moment. In this moment, all there is peace. All there is love. Breathing into this moment by allowing your lower abdomen to expand on every inhale and contract on every exhale allows you to feel the deep peace that exists right here in this moment now. Your presence here and now is all that matters. The endless love that is available to you is only available in this moment. So you relax into this moment now. And you feel yourself slowing down, connecting to the power and wisdom that's easy, smooth, and gentle, and just exists right here in this matters is this moment right now. You are doing such a great job being present in this moment. But truly, you cannot get it wrong. If your mind wanders, all you do is bring yourself back. It's a practice. And the more you practice, the more in love you fall with each moment. Being in this moment now is such a beautiful gift to give yourself. So on your next inhale, take a long deep breath in, stomach and rib cage fully expanding, holding your breath at the top. And whenever you're ready, exhale with a powerful sigh. Begin to notice your sit bones, rolling your shoulders, wiggling your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, allow yourself to continue to practice this present moment awareness as you open your eyes and move moment by moment throughout the rest of your day.
What an amazing meditation for exactly what we were speaking about today, which was willpower. That meditation was all about being in the present moment and staying disciplined and focusing. And I'm super happy and grateful that you guys are here with me for another Woke Wednesday. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you go subscribe to the Trade House Queens YouTube so you can go see all of the Woke Wednesdays and all of the different stuff that we do every single week. Follow me on IG if you're not already at Journey with Jenna. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. Stay woke.